People keep asking, so I thought we should ask her herself. How is Holly doing? You know, one of the things about this community that we've created since the beginning of the John of New YouTube channel a couple of years ago now um, is we've created an amazing community of caring people. And a while back, I reached out to this community because a good friend of mine who's more like a sister, and when I say that, I mean we're snarky to each other, so we're really like brothers and sisters. Um, we I reached out because a friend of mine's house had a tree fall through it, and I was so uh, overwhelmed at the response. You know, we set a GoFundMe and it came to $5,000 in a day, and you guys actually raised $10,000 in a week. And but you keep asking me, "Yeah, how's Holly doing? How's Holly doing?" And I respond, I say Holly's doing great, Holly's doing great. But I thought it'd be better to have Holly tell you how Holly's doing. So why don't we bring Holly into this conversation and let her tell you herself. How you doing, Holly?
I'm smiling.
You're
Woohoo!
smiling. The smiling is much better than that one night.
Oh, I don't even want to revisit that. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was without doubt the most terrifying night of my life.
yeah,
Um,
I'm
but
sure.
you can see behind me, um, this my comments here are basically gratitude for everything. I mean, it seems strange to say, sure, tornadoes going over the house and knocking a tree into the house and all that. Grateful. Well, the results, not that night. It was awful.
The
Few
trauma you had to
cats
go
and
through to get to this amazing
yeah,
experience.
boy. Yeah, boy. And I mean, the cats settled far better than I did. Um, but all right, let's start. I'm scrambling here, like trying to figure out where to start. But I'll start at the beginning. That when I woke up, I yes, I slept like 2 hours at the night that all this happened. But when I got up and tried to assess the situation and what the hell am I going to do, um, I had family find out what had happened and reached out to me, and a really precious family member said, "Hey, I've got an empty guest house." They save it for out of town family and parties and things like that. So that's where I am right now. And isn't it funny that the setting is so similar to my home, my
Mm.
my regular home? It's surrounded by trees and green and animals. It's beautiful. And there's a baby grand in the living room. Not that I play, but it's kind of cool. So I'm living for as long as I need to here in this beautiful setting in a beautiful old home. And the cats, as I said, settled in quite quickly. It's taking me a little longer. It's just I was 7 years, and I will be again in the other house. And I'm a very nesty person. I need my safety, my security, my nest, my cozy spot. So moving here, even temporarily, and it's a beautiful place, and I'm grateful. It's not home, so I'm trying to kind of find a nest here.
Right.
On top of that, I had one friend show up like the night after all this happened. She came here and handed me a gift card and it was long before the GoFundMe even got started, and said, "Go get whatever you need for the house, for food, whatever." And so that was a lifesaver. I had countless amounts of texts and calls and Facebook posts and everybody asking, "Are you guys okay? Are you safe? Do you need a place to stay?" I think I had 5 or 6 people say, "I've got a room here," or "I have a place for you to stay." I did not have to deal with the whole like Red Cross or finding a motel or anything. That's another major gratitude point. And then my friend John, my brother John, set up this GoFundMe, and the comments and the responses were fabulous. I mean, it was so heartening and so comforting to me to know that all these people, probably 3/4 of them I didn't know, all these people were offering moments of caring and prayer and all of that. And then the money started to come in, and so no longer was I sitting here saying, okay, I can't work for a couple of weeks until I get internet and I get an office set up. And interjecting here, I could rarely get into the damaged house. They told me it was just not safe to be there, so I couldn't go back and get most of my stuff. So once I finally could and could get my computer and office set up and I was able to work, I knew I had this cushion. So whatever would happen here or with my business or personal things that I needed, and then especially for me, once I get back in the house and see what I need there. I mean, a lot of stuff got thrown out because it was either damaged or squished or rain soaked or something. I have a cushion. I have a big, fat, fluffy cushion. And I can't tell you how comforted and secure that makes me feel. I have no worries when it comes to that. So, my grateful list is getting longer and longer, but I have a beautiful home to live in for as long as I need to, supplied by loving family members. I have material things that I needed, thanks to all of you. And I have material things that I may need in the future, thanks to all of you. And so John gave me this lovely opportunity to get on here and just say how extremely grateful I am. And I hope you can tell I'm not just saying, oh, thanks. This is heartfelt gratitude because, as I said at the beginning, my whole security and all that, you guys gave me a measure of security. And it's kind of like a big fluffy blanket. So I really am grateful for this community, for your caring, and for John. So thank you all.
Well, it's like a big John of New hug.
Yep.
you know, and you sent pictures, and
Mhm.
one of the things that your picture showed is that the actual refrigerator was holding the roof up, and that to me it tells you it's like you were saved in a big way because
Mhm.
where that refrigerator was, if I was going to do math, which I'm not good at, if you ask my
Mhm.
son, um, so that was probably 12, 14 feet away from where you were.
Mhm.
So I mean, you were like just over from that in that house
Yep.
with your
Yep.
cats. So I mean, you were really in a you were really saved that night in a big
Oh
way.
yeah.
Not only now talk about let's talk about your real savior that night, your cat.
Oh, I think this got brought up once before, but yeah. And I'm trying to not revisit too much because it's still
That's the
so
only thing you
traumatic.
related. We didn't need to,
But
but the
this is
cat.
the
Come on.
joyful part. This is
Yeah.
really cool. For those who haven't heard, and if you have heard, be reminded. Animals are always in tune with nature, and as a Reiki practitioner for animals, I know that even more than I used to. And I was sleeping. I knew it was storming, and I was restless, so I kept waking up a little bit. And I heard distant thunder, and the wind was really picking up, and it was nasty storms. And I woke up, felt like I really should get up and go to the bathroom, and started to doze back off when my one cat B got in the bed, which she rarely does, and came up and started like punching me. She was pushing me really hard with her head. I mean, I thought I had bruises. She was pushing on me. She was nipping at me. She was shoving my arm. She pushed her head like a dog would under my hand. This is completely new behavior. And I kind of pushed her away. I said, go away. But she woke me up enough that I got up to go to the bathroom. Got back in bed. Sorry for the TMI, and a few minutes after I got back in bed and cozied in, the sirens went off, the tornado sirens. And so I gathered up what I needed, ran into the hall bathroom with the cats, and waited for everything to pass. As I've said before, I could hear the passage of the tornado go. I don't know whether it was like up. I know they kind of bounce. It was either close or it was over my head because I could hear it go west to east and it sounded like a doggone airplane. I literally thought the house was going to go and was waiting for that Wicked Witch kind of music to happen there. The cats were freaking out, and then kaboom! I mean, I can't describe that explosive
Yeah.
sound.
And you don't
So
need to, Ollie. You don't need to go there
but
again.
B is the one. I mean, B is the
Yeah.
one who knew something bad was going on and got me up. I would not.
Yeah.
I might have slept through the sirens. I don't know, but that
Mm.
just blows my mind. My little
Yeah.
savior kitty.
Your little savior kitty. I think that,
Yeah.
and who better to have a savior kitty than the
Well,
animal
of course.
Reiki practitioner?
Yeah. Well, and to me too, there's so many blessings about that night. I mean, it could have been far worse. It had, as you said, it had the tree fallen at a different angle. It would have been really bad. But for the weight of this, what was it, like 3.5 foot wide at the base tree that's 100 and whatever feet tall,
Oh,
for
I mean,
that weight to be supported enough that it didn't actually penetrate the house. I mean, it smashed the top like 2 feet, and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
And the speed with which the repair guys came and took up the tree. It's like there's so many things that happened beautifully that either saved
Incredible.
me or got things accomplished.
And let me to give the audience an idea of how big this tree was. The tree fell on the back of the house,
Mhm.
and when I go visit Holly, I drive in, and you come down to the end of the cul-de-sac, and there's the driveway. You can see the house. When I drove down that road, there was the edge of a driveway and a wall of green. The tree, it was as wide as the house, and it
Right.
had completely covered the. And I was driving down the road, and kind of my son kind of was with me, and I said, "There's Holly's house." He said, "Where?" I said, "You see
Mhm.
that driveway?" He says, "Oh my God," you know.
Yeah.
And so
And it
that's how
was
big this tree
the,
was.
the base of the trees about, what would you say, like 20 yards behind the house, something
Yeah,
like that.
and
And
slightly
then,
downhill,
yeah,
slightly
downhill. And then
downhill.
they extended probably 30, 40 feet at the front of the house.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and so it was a bad mess, but it's
You know,
being taken care
I
of.
and I was talking to the neighbor when I was there that day. That I really think that um, you're lucky it was slightly downhill
Mhm.
because I think it didn't get enough momentum,
Right,
which would have made it go through that refrigerator.
right, right.
But yeah, when I look at that, when I look at what you
Mhm,
came through and look at what that house looked like when I
mhm.
walked in there with Kynan, we looked at the living room, and my first thought was, "How's the floor?"
Yeah.
Because my background's in architecture originally, so
Mhm,
I'm like, "This is a support beam here." And
mhm.
that goes directly into the basement. What's the floor structure look like? And Kynan and I are giants, right?
Mhm.
So we're like, do we want our giant selves walking across that floor, right? And so we were very gingerly walking in there,
Mhm.
and then we just kind of moved everything out of that space and let you pack
Mhm.
it. But
Right. So let's stop with that aspect now, and we're moving on to the future because
yes, yes,
it's
yes,
really hard. And I have to keep
and I
going back
apologize.
there. I don't have mails being delivered elsewhere, but I have to go back for, trash cans and to pick up things that I forgot. And every time I go back there, it's just another whack in the head of what
Yeah,
happened. So I'm really hoping for a few weeks where I don't need to go back there and just kind of, I think that'll help a lot with this nesting thing.
yeah,
So onward and upward. And again, with that big soft blankie that you guys all provided. So yay, thank
yeah.
you.
And the pictures you sent. I mean, they're kicking butt on the reconstruction. So I'm kind of excited to see how fast it's moving because I really expected it to take longer than that.
Yeah, well, and it's
Because
only it's only just begun, but you're correct. It took like a day and a half to rip out the kitchen, so they have a
uh,
lot of repair and structural work and electrical and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it essentially, what is that? Like a quarter of the house has to be completely rebuilt.
yeah.
But I'll have a lovely new kitchen when we're done.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
Yay!
Well, that Holly. Everyone keeps asking. Everyone keeps saying, how's Holly doing? How's Holly doing? And that's a testament for a couple of different things. Number one, yeah, it's a great community, but
Mhm.
they all feel you. They all feel who you are,
Yeah.
and they all reach
Aw,
out and they care about you. And so
yeah, yeah, that's
that
lovely.
that that's a testament to who you are, and
Aw, thank you.
so hold on
Aw,
to that and hold
yeah.
on to that big comfy hug as
Yes,
long as you can.
yes, I
Um,
got it.
it's lovely. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I was overwhelmed about how well it all transitioned
Mhm.
because yeah, it
Me
was a
too.
big traumatic event, and I was on the phone with you that night. So
Yeah.
um, but I was just amazed at how it was like bing, 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 bing. Things were just like people were like coming out of the woodwork helping,
Mhm.
and that proves to me a couple different things. It proves to me that
Mhm.
our world is a predominantly loving world,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it really proves to me that when someone is in need, people will reach out
Mhm.
and people will help.
Mhm.
And a lot of the people in this community, especially,
Mhm.
didn't know you,
Right.
and yet they came out anyway,
Right.
right? And that is such a loving gesture. And to me,
Mhm.
that fills my heart because that's
Mhm.
what I want the world to look like. Exactly
Yeah.
that. So
And you know what? I you just reminded me of something that I wanted to say, so I'm glad I remembered. If you have ever seen video like that nano micro video of neurons when they reach out those little tendrils to connect with each other, if you haven't, look it up and keep this analogy in mind. That is what happened. Each little cell of all of you guys reached out your little tendrils and connected with each other. And when we do that as a community and expand that as a world, it's what you just said. When you picture your little tendrils going out there and connecting, oh, ping you, that is how we do this. And so that's what I encourage you to do. Keep on paying the GoFundMe in a sense by paying forward that energy that you shared with me,
right.
because that's, picture yourself as a neuron, and that's the world we make.
Right, and Holly's GoFundMe has been ended a long time ago.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
she's talking metaphorically, go
yes, that's
spread the
exactly right.
love, spread the
Yes.
love, right? Um, and that's exactly it. If we all would just realize that we're all one with one another, and helping one is helping all, you know. So that to me is beautiful. So, Holly, I'm so glad you came on to do this.
Thank
Um,
you. I appreciate the opportunity.
yeah, I think it. I think that so many people care about you that
Mhm.
it's really
Yeah,
nice
yeah,
for them to see your face to know that you actually didn't have a tree fall through your head. So
exactly. I'm not any shorter than I started out to be.
right, and I want to throw this in just because I know this is helpful too. Any of you people out there who have animals who could use some
Aw.
distance Reiki, this is the person I recommend. So um, make sure if that's something you're interested in, go check her out at her website. If I click over here, you'll see it again. Lightseedsbyholly.com right there.
Thank you,
And
John.
so yeah, so that every little bit helps. And
Mhm.
yes, she has a cushion now, but you know, time passes. So the more we can make that cushion fill more,
Yeah.
that's great. So,
Well, thank you, dear.
well, Holly, thank you for being here. It has been an absolutely lovely conversation, as it always is,
Of course.
except for when we're snarky at each other.
Ha!
So, and that's fun too.
Yes, it is.
um, So, anyways, thank you for coming, and I'm gonna wind this thing out, and I'll talk to you afterwards. Hold on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, guys, that was your update on the Holly Matson situation. She's doing great. She's coming through, but as you can tell, she still is processing, and the processing is the thing that everyone has to go through after a traumatic event like that. But she's doing it with grace and dignity, and really much easier because of the what you've done for her. And I am so grateful for that, as I know she is, and I'm really happy to see that this community was used for good in a very profound way. So, thank you all, and I will talk to you on the next one. See ya. Bye.